What's up guys? Today's video is on the Canon Eos 750D review 2023. The 2-year-old Eos 750D, a DSLR that adds a few more attractive features to its specification to tempt aspiring photographers who'd like a vari-angle touchscreen and the ability to shoot a faster continuous burst. It's still available to buy and at a very reasonable price, although its reign as the flagship beginner model in Canon's Eos lineup has come to an end with the introduction of the Eos 750D and Eos 760D. Performance. Although the 750D's 19-point AF array might not be as widespread as the 39-point AF system as found on the Nikon D5500, it improves on the 700D's basic 9-point AF arrangement and is superior to the 11-point AF system as featured on another of its rivals, the Pentax KS2. The AF points are laid out with 5 points top to bottom in the center, reducing to 2 rows of 3, with 2 single points either side. In single-point AF and zone AF, there's the choice of repositioning the AF point using the touchscreen or the D-pad. But with the camera raised to the eye, users will find the latter is more precise and accurate. Entering zone AF allows you select from 5 areas, with the central area covering 9 AF points as opposed to 4 at the sides and top and bottom of the frame. The performance of autofocus in live view is exemplary. Positioning the AF point around the frame using the touchscreen revealed a fast, silent, and smooth focus acquisition paired with our 18 to 55mm f divided by 3.5-5.6's STM lens. The idea of Canon's stepping motor technology is to ensure fast focusing while eliminating any nasty whirring noises that can disturb audio recording. It's particularly effective and no alarming or off-putting autofocus noises were traced in video footage. The focus tracking feature also performed well, maintaining focus on the area of the scene I'd specified on the screen whilst panning, and it can keep up to speed with most subjects provided they don't move too erratically through the frame. Loaded with a Lexar Professional 2000x64GB SDXC2 memory card and set to record in RAW. The 750D had no difficulties rattling out a burst of 8 frames at 5 FPS before requiring a breather. This figure shot up switching it to record in JPEG where the camera continuously fired at 5 FPS for as long as I had my finger depressed on the shutter button. The 750D's capacitive touchscreen is super responsive in use and makes the adjustment of settings and the selection of icons in the menu effortless. There's no option to double tap an image during playback to review it at 100% however, and I found there to be a fraction of a second delay before an image is rendered at full quality when zooming in and flicking through to the next image. Outdoors, the screen rendered scenes and colors accurately, but I did find myself increasing the screen brightness from its default setting of 4 to 6. The 75/60 pixel metering system also demonstrated that it's capable and reliable. In the instance where highlights were clipped in the sky of a high-contrast scene, the detail was recoverable from a RAW file using the highlight slider in ACR. To balance highlight and shadows in camera, users may wish to employ the 750D's auto lighting optimizer, which has 3 settings: low, standard, and high. Alternatively, there's also HDR backlight control available from the scene modes, which works on the principle of combining 3 exposures to create a more balanced image. But this does require the camera to be locked off on a tripod to resolve optimum sharpness. For those with a compatible NFC device, pairing it with the 750D couldn't be easier. Simply enable Wi-Fi, NFC through the menu before touching the devices together to initiate a wireless connection. If, like me, you own a smartphone that doesn't feature NFC, the connection process takes a while longer and you're required to select your desired Wi-Fi function before connecting to the network from the smartphone's Wi-Fi setting, a process that takes around 30 seconds. Canon's Camera Connect application is one of the better apps. It's intuitive to use, lets you transfer individual images quickly, and offers AF point adjustment direct from your smartphone's screen as well as control of key exposure setting. Importantly, for those who'd like to fire the camera remotely from distance, there's no hesitation between firing the shutter on the smartphone and the camera capturing the shot. It's even possible to delete images, change the drive mode, and rate images using a 5-star rating system straight from the app. Build and handling. Compared to the 760D, which places its lockable mode dial on the opposite side of the top plate to free up space for a small LCD panel, the 750D's body design is more in keeping with the 700D. The top plate and rear of the 750D is non-threatening, and thanks to the simple, well-structured layout of buttons, it'll allow beginners who may not have used a DSLR before to pick it up and get accustomed to the handling very easily without scaring them off. Picking up the camera for the first time, you immediately value how lightweight it is. It manages to shed 25 grams off the weight of the 700D, weighing 555 grams on the scales without a lens. It doesn't have the same heavy-duty quality as the prestigious EOS 7D Mark II and EOS 5D Mark III models, but the aluminum alloy chassis and polycarbonate resin with glass fiber finish combine well to give it a convincingly solid feel, and the panels neither creak or squeak when the body is gripped tightly. One way that Canon could have made the 750D's build quality even better would have been to employ weather sealing from its advanced enthusiast and pro models. This is something we've seen Pentax employ into a few of their lower-end DSLRs in the past, but still remains a feature we're yet to see Canon or Nikon filter down into their beginner models. Operating the 750D out in the field confirmed just how simple a camera it is to use. The mode dial is in easy reach of the thumb. The AF modes are quick to toggle through using the dedicated button on the top plate, and though it lacks twin dials as found on the 760D, it's easy enough to hold the exposure compensation button and use the single command dial on the top plate to adjust shutter speed in manual mode. The pair of zoom buttons are great for zooming in and inspecting image sharpness in playback mode, but how often they'll see use very much depends on the type of user and whether they'd prefer to take advantage of pinch and zoom gestures via the touchscreen. On the subject of the screen, there's a deep indent to allow it to be pulled out with ease, and the articulation mechanism feels positively robust with just the right level of resistance. Features. To ensure the 750D keeps apace with rival DSLRs and CSCs, Canon has been forced to filter down advanced features from cameras higher up in their EOS range. For some time now, we've got used to Canon playing it safe with a 9-point diamond formation AF system on their beginner DSLRs, so it's good to see the EOS 750D encompassing a more sophisticated 19-point all-cross type autofocus system. This arrangement of f points, combined with a working range of f0.5-18, is identical to Canon's EOS 70D. However, instead of employing Canon's dual-pixel CMOS AF technology, the EOS 750D features the same hybrid CMOS AF3 system that debuted on the EOS M3. This system uses sensor-based phase detection points to enhance focus speed and accuracy in live view, and is said to be close to the speed of dual-pixel AF, as well as being up to 4 times faster than the EOS 100D. Despite having a higher pixel count than the 700D, the 750D's 24 million pixel APS-C CMOS sensor provides the same standard sensitivity range of 112,800, with an extended ISO 25,600 setting also available. Flicking the on/off switch, an extra notch enters the camera's video mode, and here the maximum native sensitivity setting is ISO 640, expandable to ISO 12,800. Frequent users of video are catered for with a 3.5 mic port at the side and full HD video captured at 30, 25 or 24 FPS. There's the option to lower the resolution and shoot at 60, 50 or 30 FPS if preferred, while another useful video feature not often found on beginner DSLRs is the option to manually control sound levels in camera. To ensure the 750D is up to the task of processing its data as fast as possible, Canon has paired the new sensor alongside their latest DIGIC6 image processor. This allows the camera to shoot continuously at up to 5 FPS, which, although it isn't any faster than the speed at which the 700D shoots, it's useful for upping the hit rate when shooting action or sports sequences. Where the processor reveals its greatest benefit, however, is in its increased burst depth. Previously, it was possible to rattle off 30 JPEGs or 6 RAW files at 5 FPS on the 700D, whereas now it's possible to shoot 940 JPEGs or 8 RAW files consecutively. Turning to the rear, the 750D's optical viewfinder reveals 95% coverage of the frame as opposed to 100%. This is typical of a consumer-level DSLR, but it's important to remember that when composing an image, more of what you see through the viewfinder will be captured at the edges of the frame. The 750D improves upon the 700D's 63-zone SPC metering system with a 75-60-pixel metering sensor that's sensitive to red, green, blue, and infrared light. To further improve exposure accuracy, the metering is linked to the selected AF points in evaluative mode, with partial, spot, and center-weighted modes all available. Beneath the viewfinder, little has changed, with Canon opting to keep the same 3 inches touch-sensitive clear-view 2 TFT screen that impressed us on the 700D. This offers a resolution of 1040K dots and displays in the 3:2 aspect to match the aspect ratio of the imaging sensor. Until now, built-in Wi-Fi and near-field communication has been absent on Canon's beginner-level DSLRs. Those who'd like a quick and convenient way of transferring images and movies to compatible smartphones, tablets, or printers will welcome the addition of wireless technology on the 750D. Not forgetting Canon's Camera Connect app that's free to download via the App Store for iOS devices or Google Play for Android. This can be used to fire the camera remotely and apply adjustments to common settings such as aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. Other features include plus divided by 5 EV exposure compensation control, a shutter range of 30-1 divided by 4000 seconds, and a small pop-up flash with a guide number of 12 meters at ISO 100. It accepts a LPE17 battery rather than the LPE8 battery as used on the Eos 750D. And in typical Canon fashion, a selection of picture styles and creative filters are available for those who'd like to artistic license to experiment. Image quality. The 24.2 million pixel sensor the 750D and 760D use bring both models into line with their closest rivals in the market, namely the Nikon D5500, which also features a 24.2 million pixel chip. The move away from an 18 million pixel sensor to a 24 million pixel sensor sees a jump in the output image size too, up from 5184 by 3456 pixels on the 700D to 6000 by 4000 pixels on the 750D and 760D. Unlike the Nikon D5500 and some other recent high-resolution APS-C sensors, however, the 750D and 760D continue to use an anti-aliasing filter, and with this in place it has its work cut out to resolve the same levels of resolution. As our lab results indicate, the 750D's dynamic range is still a little way off the best results we've recorded from other 24 million pixel sensors. With a lower dynamic range readout across its sensitivity range, this essentially means is that the sensor allows less shadow detail to be pulled back and recovered from its raw files. Our verdict: there's a lot the 750D shares with the 760D with regard to its innards, but on the outside it's clear that the 750D's ergonomics are better tailored for beginners who want a DSLR they can pick up and feel comfortable with straight away. Splashing out an extra £50 to get an LCD panel on the top plate, an extra dial at the rear, as well as few other minor gains might seem like a no-brainer. But unless you're an enthusiast who has already invested in the Eos system, the extras the 760D brings to the table aren't absolutely essential, and there's a lot to like about the 750D's simple layout and controls. The way your left hand doesn't come into play unless you need to access the main menu or hit the info buttons means it can be used virtually single-handedly. Though the detail the sensor resolves doesn't surpass that of the Nikon D5500. There are more than enough pixels on the chip to produce prints up to A2 size, and users can feel confident of shooting at up to ISO 32.0 and even 64.0 at a push without the fear of noise severely degrading image quality. The slight disappointment is that you can't pull back as much detail out of the shadows from RAW files as you can from its APS-C competitors. In other respects, autofocus both in and out of live view is fast and responsive. The touchscreen sensitivity is superb, and the level of control you're given through Canon's Camera Connect app when the 750D's Wi-Fi functionality is deployed puts some other manufacturers' apps to shame. It should also be noted that while the 18 to 55mm kit lens has a predominantly plastic finish, it goes about its business of focusing quickly and silently. To summarize, the 750D makes a great choice for beginners making their first inroads into DSLR photography. It comes with a complimentary set of features to tempt those away from the competition, and as you'd expect from a DSLR, it handles particularly well during prolonged spells of shooting. Given that the 1200D and 100D current cost £370 and £330 less respectively at the time of writing, there are cheaper beginner DSLRs available. However, they're not as feature-packed and are unlikely to serve your needs as well in the long term. If your budget can stretch to the 750D, its advanced features and functionality make it worth the extra outlay. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button. And if you have something to say, please leave a comment.